Well, let's just focus on the other story, right? Which is the expiry day, which has now been fixed. NSE has essentially got Tuesday. BSE is now moved to Thursday. We reported this for the first time on the 22nd of May, and it's now, of course, and we reported yesterday during market hours that intimation is going to come today, and it did come yesterday in the evening. I think we'll have the pre-open is on, and I think we're towards the second half of the pre-open session. The BSE stock we should just put up in terms of what it has done. It's already corrected 10% coming into the decision yesterday, so keep an eye on that. So absolutely, okay, 3%, 4% lower, but 100 rupees is what you have in terms of a cut. Rajesh Baheti is MD at Crosseas Capital Services. Rajesh, good to have you with us here. Good morning. Rajesh was with us once the news broke yesterday in the evening. But just quick thoughts, Rajesh, beyond the here and now. I mean, for some reason, so much anxiety and chatter around this one in terms of who's going to get what. It's important, and there will be a shift of volumes, etc. So in that sense, yes, definitely important. We're good to get the story right. But beyond the near term, how is this going to play out in terms of market share, in terms of volumes on both exchanges?
If you go back into the history and in November when SEBI rung in the changes, the top two contracts that were traded in the F&O segment were the Bank Nifty and the Nifty. And so with the changes when SEBI said that each exchange is allowed one contract, really cost NSE a lot of market share. And what subsequently happened was that NSE had the Thursday and BSE chose Tuesday. And what it did is, post the Tuesday expiry, NSE got 2 days to expiry, whereas post the NSE expiry, BSE had 3 days to expiry. So somewhere down the line, then NSE moved to Monday in order to counter that loss of market share. And then we know what happened, that SEBI said enough of this, and we are going to designate 2 days, and they designated Tuesday and Thursday. So after facing all these losses, I think there was some kind of give back and allow NSE to move to Tuesday, so they had 3 days versus 2 days for the BSE. For the long term, I think people are already now looking at 2 days of expiry, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We've fallen into that Tuesdays and Thursday expiry, except now that the contracts will change.
Rajesh, one thing we've talked about in the past as well, since algos now, etc., are such a big part of it, right? The entire market trading, a lot of the backtesting on algos, etc., would have happened on Thursdays, right? All that will have to kind of sort of change a little bit. What's your sense?
Yeah, so obviously, whenever you change an expiry, your reference point changes. There's no historical data with respect to that expiry, so it creates a little bit of a problem, maybe a short-term dip. But if you see that the BSE index and the NSE Nifty, these are the benchmark indices, they are reasonably correlated. So you could have a situation where algos kind of run based on the BSE historical, that the Tuesdays will behave similarly for NSE and vice versa. So I get the feeling that though it might cost the algos a little bit in terms of backtesting ability, they are likely to go forward thinking of the BSE backtest as a substitute for trading the NSE in the future.
Right. Rajesh, at the end of it all is the price of the option. And the price of the option is affected by 5 underlying variables. Whether it's 2 days, whether it's 3 days, that would eventually then reflect in the price of the option because it's theta, right? Time to expiry. So to that extent, why should there be any market share loss if both are given exclusive days? Just trying to understand.
So let's be honest that the market veers towards the near-term expiry. So even though you have monthly expiries, you have various expiry contracts available, that the market likes to trade the ones that's closest to the expiry. When the NSE would expire on Thursday, people tended to move to the BSE for the next expiry, which was the BSE on Tuesday. And so you had Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. They got 3 days out of 5 trading days to trade the BSE. After the BSE expired, then you moved back to the NSE and you got Wednesday and Thursday. So what happened in this is despite the fact that NSE had to give up Bank Nifty, And keeping Thursday was costing NSE in terms of the number of days also it had on the nearest contract to expiry. It had 2 days versus the BSE got 3 days. And I think that was rankling the NSE, that we've had so much to give up in terms of the most successful contracts. And here we are losing market share in terms of the number of days we have for the nearest contract.
So to that extent, what do you think would be the impact on BSE's market share? Because there are a lot of brokerage notes. One came yesterday, estimated about 300 basis points. There's one which came today, 350 to 450 basis points. Do you think that's a fair estimate, or could the impact be more or less?
Logically speaking, what has happened with all this geopolitical stuff going on, people don't generally like to take a large open position on a Friday. So effectively what we were doing was the BSE was trading more on Monday, Tuesday, and the NSE was trading more on Wednesday, Thursday. So the Friday being added to the NSE is going to probably take away the Friday volume, which was, I think, historically in terms of open interest, in recent times would have been just 10 to 15% of the entire open interest. I think that will move to the NSE. So in terms of market share, you could argue that you're going to have the BSE maybe lose 500 to 600 bips to the NSE. And that shift will happen, because whatever you want to do on a Friday for a near-term expiry, now you won't do on the Sensex, and you'll instead do on the Nifty.
Okay, Rajesh, thank you very much. It's a story with so much interest. One, of course, it's got all elements, right? I mean, it's got two exchanges kind of in a way fighting it out. There is, of course, the futures and options market, and so everything in it. But glad that we got it right. As I said, we reported this first on the 22nd of May, and now it's, of course, news in that sense.